Hey guys, Runbuck with Runbuck on Games, coming to you from our new research location up in JTJ0 in the Antarctic. Thanks to the British and allowing us to get a little cubicle in the Halley Research Station. It's beautiful up here. But we thought that the cold air would help us figure out complex riddles in the Clash of Clans universe. And in this case, we're taking a look at the question everyone, or at least 2,000 clans, are asking: how do I get in the CWL, the Champions War League? Supposedly 2,000 clans applied and 48 were granted access into Season 2. So there's a lot of people on the outside looking in saying, what? I'm good. So I want to help you get a metric that can let you kind of in your next apply be able to kind of justify how you compare rationally to the guys that are actually in CWL and be able to show, you know, how you're doing and maybe know why you didn't get in, for example. But the concept that I want to go through is a concept called expected stars, right? So that makes sense. You know, there's the War League runs on a fixed format for 3 of the 4 divisions: Light, Rising, and Premier. Invite runs in a variable format; they can choose by matchup. But the fact that the other 3 run on a fixed format allows you to know for each matchup, when they show you a score, what the expected score was and whether or not they outperformed, underperformed it. And it's that delta, the actual difference between the expected score of a war matchup given a mixed setup and the actual result, that lets you compare apples to apples to them. Even if you're not in the same division, like a light division guy can compare to a rising, or a rising to a premier, or if you're in a potluck against the CWL clan and you perform a certain way in that fixed format, you can then compare that performance against the CWL overall and know that, hey, I'm in the upper 25%, I'm in the upper 50% of scores in the CWL. We should be in. We're better than the other. I've kicked that bottom half out, right? That's the theory. So let's take a look at it and dive into maybe how it's calculated to help you understand it, and then I'll show you the graph of week 1 of the CWL, and you can kind of look at that to understand what they're doing right now. Sound good? All right, let's do it. So first off, let's calculate, or talk about the expected. Light has 2 Town Hall 11s. Oh my God, 2 Town Hall 11s. It has, this is a standard setup. Whoops. Holy smokes. 6 Town Hall 10s and 17 Town Hall 9s. 6 Town Hall 10s and 17 Town Hall 9s. So the meta, the expected result for that mix, and the same way, the way you'd calculate it for any set mix, is to basically start with the Town Hall 11 and say they're going to nuke. And so you've got 4 attacks, 2 times 2, right? So if they're performing well, the success rate of nukes is about 90%. So if I'm hitting about 90% on that, we're going to probably close in a typical clan war matchup, a CWL matchup. We're going to close probably 4 of those. So 4 will be closed and 2 will be open, right? So that's the metric we're worried about. Now on the flip side, the Town Hall 10s will actually hit up and try to close the 2 Town Hall 11s that they have, and that usually takes, it's about a 50% success rate, so it probably takes about 4 of their attacks. There, I'll mark 50%. Takes about 4 of their attacks to do it. And maybe they'll do a little bit better, but the point is that they get 2-star cover in all of it, and so there are 2 open stars. So the net at this point is 4 open stars. Town Hall 9 usually close itself in CWL, and then you might get an occasional peer in Town Hall 10, but the success rate is pretty low. It's 10% on peer, so that's when you go above expected. So what's expected is the maximum minus this 4, right? That's the expected score that you see for light. Let me undo that, and then you can see that you can do the same math and get 85 for rising and 84 for Premier. But that's not the number that you care about. If you're trying to show that you're similar to the CWL performers or better and want to get in, you would then want to show the delta, because the delta, where it becomes apples to apples. So you would subtract from that expected score the actual results you're getting in a similar mixed format. So again, if you were fighting a 2, 6, 10, Town 11, Town 10, Town 9 setup, you would subtract your actual score from expected, and it's that delta that actually matters. And when I do that for here's week one CWL and CW2 in season 2, and you can see the graph of that looks like this. There it is. It's all beautiful. Here, let's go to a black pen. And what you can take away from this graph of the CWL week 1 is a couple things. First off, the average of all the CWL clans, the top three, the 3 clans though, we're not looking at invite because they have random structures, so it'd be hard to calculate quickly. But the average is actually 1 below a 0 delta, so where actual equals expected. So most clans are typically missing either a Town Hall 11 nuke, one of their nukes misses, or their hit-ups from 10 to 11 missed, would typically be the culprits of why they would be 1 under expected. But the point is that a delta of -1 would put you right in the middle of the pack in CWL for either Rising, Light, or Premier. Now the only variable that you can't really accurately predict is the complexity of the bases, and so that's why Potluck's the best way to test yourself. If you can get lucky enough to get matched against the CWL clan in Potluck, typically they're running they're similar, one of their sets of bases. They're similar players, so you can kind of get a sense really closely of how good you are compared to them in that environment. But you can get reasonable ballpark figure with that just against good clans in the same structure. But anyway, so -1 delta is the average. So if you can perform at 0 at expected or better, +1, +2, then you're going to start to be something that might be intriguing to the CWL apply board, right? Now the other things you can take away from this graph is you can notice that here's Light. This is the division that JTJ is in, this blue line. And notice how that it actually runs a little higher in terms of +1, +2 in their league. I think, if you look, it's, what is it, 9% of the clans that were in the season 1 or season 2 week 1, and 16% were at +1, 9% were +2. So 25% of the clans scored above expected. That kind of reflects that division probably has a little easier bases than Rising and Light, and that's not, or Rising and Premier. Probably not surprising, because look at the steepness of the graph off expected. This is the Premier League is red. No, Premier is green. Notice how the Premier is right at expected for their highest percentage. 30% of Premier clans are right at expected because, again, that's the highest odds hitting, right? Their Town Hall 11s execute perfectly, their Town Hall 10s hit up perfectly, and they are unable to get any pure Town Hall 10s. But the other ones kind of move through, so you can kind of get a sense for, wow, man, 25% plus another 6%, 6 plus 6 for the Rising League. That would encompass everybody that scores above expected. So you'd be in the top 10% if you were consistently scoring above expected for this clan. You'd have a strong case to get in. But if you even scored just at 0, look at all these scores here. Over half of the participants in the Clan War League structure, or the CWL structure, you would be doing better than. So I think that's the universal metric. The delta concept allows you to compare, allows you to know both within divisions looking at each other, and also if you're on the outside looking in, whether or not you are performing well or at average or above par and just had a bad week, got matched up against a tough clan. I think it's a really good metric for doing all of that. So hopefully it helps everybody. We'll get back to shoveling snow, and we'll talk to you guys later.